You don't get a day off being a heroin addict. Like, there's no Christmas, there's no birthday, every day is the same. You have to buy drugs. What people don't understand about the physical nature of a drug addiction is you have to have it. It's not a mental thing that you want it, you have to, or you're sick as a dog. Such is the extremity of the addiction. People can be dying around you left, right and centre, and you know that could be you, and you just can't stop. Like, yeah. Because the world got to me when I couldn't defend myself, I think I've made myself into a sort of what you see before you, that, yeah, if you try it now, you're in trouble, you know? So it's not like one day I woke up and said, I want to look like this, or I want to sound like that, or it's just sort of evolved. But this is what I've sort of grown into. So whether it was a subconscious thing to sort of warn off the world, leave me alone, maybe, I don't know, who knows, yeah. I was sexually abused over a couple of years by a friend of the family. At the time I was too young to sort of work out what was going on, but all the post-traumatic stress sort of symptoms were there now looking back. Because I was young and sort of couldn't put language to what was going on and didn't sort of understand, it just sort of spiraled as things do, and then you sort of find yourself in a situation one day and you're like, well, how did I get here, you know? Like, I've never really dealt with it. For most of my life, no, I couldn't even talk about it. It's a hard one, yeah. I played football, that was my obsession. I was a really keen football player. It took up all my time, and then mid-teens I had a really bad knee injury. A lot of the players I was playing with started to make first grade and professional teams and stuff like that. It just broke my heart, and it was one of those things where I'd literally sit there and cry and watch them and wish it was me, you know? Which was what sort of spiraled the drug use as well, and that just, yeah, ended up pretty much out of control for 10 years, so, yeah. I started smoking pot and drinking like most kids do at about 14, 15. And then I got introduced to raves when I was 15, 16. That was the most fun I've ever had in my life. I'm still not over it. So that was ecstasy and speed and LSD and all that kind of stuff. With that sort of drug use, once it sort of gets to an excessive level, it's hard to get to sleep after it. So then started sleeping pills like Rohypnol and stuff like that, which is, yeah, got me into a lot of trouble as well. And then I ended up a full-blown heroin addict by the time I was about 18. So yeah, and that lasted till I was 23, 24. I was doing the methadone, the whole deal. You're just constantly on the lookout for money to buy drugs. That's your whole life. Doesn't matter how much drugs you've got, they're gonna wear out, they're gonna run out sooner or later. The nature of that kind of thing is people are getting busted all the time. There's times when you can't even find a dealer. You know, like, it's a miserable life. It's miserable. There's nothing good about it. Yeah. You don't get a day off being a heroin addict. Like, there's no Christmas, there's no birthday. Every day is the same. You have to buy drugs. What people don't understand about the physical nature of a drug addiction is you have to have it. It's not a mental thing that you want it. You have to, or you're sick as a dog. I just got sick of being a slave to a clinic and a slave to this and a slave to that. I just wanted my life back. Got to about 23, 24, and I would be in that methadone clinic and I'd be looking around at these people and I just thought, I'm not one of you. I always knew I was a good bloke just down on his luck. I remember this vividly. I was sitting on a lounge one day and I was sick as a dog, and I had a mate sitting there and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna stop this right now. I don't care how long I'm sick for, it's just gotta stop. So I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I said, I'm gonna train until I'm the strongest bloke on earth. And you know what I'm gonna do after that? He said, what? I said, I'm gonna train some more. He saw me, I hadn't seen him for years, and I saw him in Woolies a couple of years ago, and he came past and he just said, you weren't kidding, were you? And I said, no, mate, I'm a man of my word, so, yeah.
Did you find when you made that decision and left that sort of world, did you lose a few friends?
I had a few that died. One when I was 18, it really got to me. He had a similar story to mine. He was sexually abused as a child and ended up the same sort of thing. We were just really, really kindred spirits. That was hard. That was really, really hard, that one. Not to the point where it scared me off. Such is the extremity of the addiction. People can be dying around you left, right and centre, and you know that could be you, and you just can't stop. Like, yeah. So stuff like that, I mean, once you leave that behind, it's almost like it was another life. Like, when I think back about it now, it's almost like I'm describing another person. Like, yeah. This one, as I said, I got this recently. This one's, it depicts laugh now, cry later, which is kind of a theme of my life, unfortunately. To turn the addiction around, I knew you can't just stop doing something. You have to replace it with something that takes an equal amount of time. I'm not going to say it was easy, but I just wanted to be normal again and have a normal life and feel normal with normal emotions and stuff like that. And so swapped one addiction for another, became obsessed with the gym and all that kind of stuff. I actually started playing football again to the point where I actually went and coached for 5 years after it. That mid-20s, it was a real turning point in my life. If I had have kept going the way I was going, I probably wouldn't be here now. Once I came off the heroin and all that kind of stuff, I started going out and doing all that again for years, like, you know, the bending on the alcohol and the pills and all that kind of stuff. So by the time I was about 30, it was literally out of my system. So that's another turning point where I got to. I sort of sat there one time and I was putting all this effort into the training. I'd go out all weekend and just piss it all away, and then you'd come back Monday every day the same. So I got to a point where I sat myself down. One thing I'm very good at is I'm very good at self-confrontation. I'm very honest with myself. I don't blame others. I take responsibility. So being that kind of person, I sat myself down and I said, look, mate, what's it going to be? Are you going to be the bender guy or the trainer guy? Because you obviously can't do both. And I sort of said to myself, well, I'm looking for an excuse to leave that sort of life anyway, because I was bored of it. I was just doing it because everyone else does, which I find is something that happens a lot in this country. People don't actually enjoy so much what they're doing as much as they're doing it because everybody else does. So once I realised that was why I was doing it and I had no real motivation myself, it was easy to walk away from. So then I really focused on the training. I was coaching rugby league very successfully too. I won 4 grand finals. One was undefeated. We had a runner-up in there as well. So that I really enjoyed that. Only problem with that was it wasn't paid, so it was taking up too much of my time. So in the end, I just had to leave it to focus more on my business. So I think the way I look and the way I am, it hasn't been a conscious decision. I think it's just been a subconscious thing that, because the world got to me when I couldn't defend myself, I think I've made myself into a sort of what you see before you, that, yeah, if you try it now, you're in trouble. So it's not like one day I wake up and said, I want to look like this, or I want to sound like that, or it's just sort of evolved. But this is what I've sort of grown into. So whether it was a subconscious thing to sort of warn off the world, leave me alone, maybe, I don't know, who knows, yeah. There's just that constant thing of anxiety always hanging over me, where I'm always worried life's going to take something away from me. I'm terrible insomniac. I don't sleep. Depression's lamenting the past, and anxiety's dreading the future. And I've got both. So there's stuff just pops in my head all the time of stuff in my life that's happened. Most of the time it's bad. I'm trying to come up with ways where when that happens, I'll think of something positive or whatever else, but I don't know, that's what the anxiety does to me. It sort of constantly makes me feel like something bad's coming, impending thoughts of doom, which is what anxiety is, you know, so. I try and talk to myself as I would your best mate. So I find people are really hard on themselves. So I'm trying to not bag myself or put myself down, or I'm trying to come up with positive ways to work through certain things. I know they exist, which is a big thing. I mean, a lot of people that have problems like that don't really acknowledge it, and that's almost a problem in itself. I realise I have these issues. It's trying to find constructive ways to deal with it when it does sort of happen. So, but which I am getting better at. Yeah. What I found, some people talking is a relief to them. They like to get stuff off their chest. Me, it just takes me back to a place I don't ever want to go. I try and keep busy as best I can. When I'm by myself, that's when stuff gets to me. So yeah, you're alone with your thoughts and you have to deal with that, you know. So, and I live by myself, so which is hard. So yeah, I'm getting better at putting things in perspective. So, you know, when I was younger, you know, the world's against you, this, that, and the other. So you know what I mean? You're thinking these things. They may or may not be true, but it affects sort of like how you see the world. Whereas now, I'm getting more effective at sort of dealing with those kind of things. So I'm learning how to enjoy things a little bit better. I think that's the trick, you know. Next step, I can't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you. It'll be something to do with my business. I see it expanding and snowballing. I really think I was put here for a particular purpose I haven't found yet. I mean, the training is good. I affect people's lives in a positive way. I like that I do that. I mean, I've got an autistic kid I train who calls me dad. I've got a 94-year-old bloke I train. And everybody else in between. So I love my job. I get to live through these people, even if I don't get to do stuff. Them just come in and telling me, oh, you know, Dave, I did this, I did that. Here, have a look at this, and showing me photos and stuff. I love that. I love being part of people's lives. That's the focus these days, and that's what sort of keeps me going. So yeah, somebody who's struggling with addiction, somebody like myself, I'd just say hang in there. Life will get better, mate. You can't win them all, but you can't lose them all either. Yeah, all I would say to people is just hang in there, hang in there. Life does get better. You've just got to, you've just got to hang in there. Yeah.